What's going on? In this video, we're going to discuss the 3 most important things to do to operate a successful Airbnb. I had 6 apartments doing the Airbnb business. I was able to generate $20,000 a month doing Airbnb. I mean, it's a fantastic business if you do it the right way. So, in my experience, there are a lot of things that I did wrong, even though I made that amount of money. Now, in this video, we're going to discuss the pros and the cons that go with doing the Airbnb business. So tune in. What's going on? Hey, look, if this is your first time here, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button to get more content just like this. Weekly videos coming at you every single week. So let's get right to it. Look, the number one thing you got to realize when operating an Airbnb business, you got to figure out when in whatever city or town you're located in, is it legal to do it? Because in certain cities, it is not legal to do Airbnb, or they have some restrictions on when and how to do Airbnb. In New York City in particular, they have very tough rules for doing Airbnb. Now, for myself, I was doing it all wrong. The way I would do it is I would go to a landlord and I would rent out a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom apartment. And then from there, I would pretty much tell the owner of the building that I was living there myself, and then I would set an Airbnb listing for it. And then after that, I would have people coming in and out of that apartment. Now, in New York City, you can't operate a hotel-like establishment in a residential building because the owners of that building will get a fine of anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 a fine, whatever the fine is. I know it's an excessive amount. I don't know the exact amount of the fine, but you're not supposed to do it. Now, there are some loopholes to get around that if you're located in New York City. One thing you could do is, I believe this is one of the rules. If you have a townhouse or a or a home where you have, let's say, 2 apartments in it, you can rent out one of the apartments as long as the owner of the townhouse resides in that place. You can do that by law. So that's the only loophole there is to doing Airbnb in New York City. Now, if you live in a city that don't have those loopholes, if you live in a city that don't have those restrictions, by all means, do it. Okay? So in my experience, because I was doing it inside these apartments, as you may know, I got shut down. I got shut down a lot, okay? Not only from the city, but from the owners. The owners, when they would find out that I was doing Airbnb, they would ask me to leave. And I would have to go find another apartment and then set it all up and then do it all over again. So it really wasn't positive. It really wasn't good for me to do. It was a quick short-term hustle, and I was able to save some money and then go into another venture. So the way I started doing Airbnb was that I was working at a restaurant and I saved up $8,000. I was a runner, and so I was able to put my first month's rent down, security, and buy all the furniture and finishes for that apartment that I was able to invest into my first Airbnb business. So the money's there and it can be really good. The second powerful thing to Airbnb that I learned right off bat was you want to have an apartment where you can rent out the entire apartment to one guest. Now this guest can have 3 to 8 people living. This apartment can have 3 to 8 people there for the entire apartment. And so a lot of people want their privacy when they're renting out their apartment. If you have a guest, let's say you have them living in one room and then you have a different guest in another room and another guest in another room, which you can do on Airbnb, oftentimes you lose money that way. Not only that, you lose money, you lose time and more money because you have to check in each guest for each room, and then you have to clean every single time each one of those guests leaves that room, which can be costly. However, if you have one guest that has 8 people that stay there for 2 weeks at a time or 3 weeks at a time or 5 days at a time, you only have to go there one time to clean the entire apartment up, and then from there, you can make sure it's nice and then rent it out to another large party of, let's say, 3 to 8 people. Now, I had a 3-bedroom. I had one of my apartments, it was a 3-bedroom. So I had a queen size bed in each room. Here's a little hack you can do. I had a queen size bed in one room and then a queen size bed in the other rooms as well. And then in the living room, I had a couch, and the couch could fold over and be like a bed. And I would keep extra covers and sheets in the closet for another guest just in case they wanted to sit down there. Because in those 3 rooms, let's say 2 people can fit on one queen size bed. So if you have 3 rooms, 2 people per room, that's 6 people. And then you have the couch. The couch can fit, let's say 1 other person. So that particular guest can have a party of 7, and let's say you're charging $250 a night or $300 a night. They divide that by 7 over 5 days or forever how long they'll stay there. They're able to get a good deal, and they're all together and they're able to have their privacy. So it's a lot. So just remember that hack. You can definitely use the couch as an area where a guest can sleep at. Remember this: rent out the entire apartment. Do not rent out each room to each individual guest. Boom. And lastly, you got to remember to have great customer service. Your customer service has to be on time. I mean, your reviews, you can't try to have nothing but positive 5-star reviews. It's critical to the success of Airbnb, because the first thing that a guest looks at when they're trying to pick and choose what they want, they look at those reviews. And if you have shitty reviews of people saying that covers weren't clean, or the apartment wasn't thoroughly cleaned, or whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you have clean covers, that your apartment is impeccable, your pictures are really nice on your listing, because people really look at listings. So hire a professional photographer to take really good photos, because if you do that, your pictures are going to look very pristine. Because when a guest is traveling from another country, all they have to look at are those photos and those reviews, and also the way you respond to the guests. If they have a question and then it takes you 2 days to respond back, then they're gonna probably move elsewhere. So be responsive when guests are trying to reach out to ask questions about your listing before they actually make the booking. Okay. So on that note, there are 3 powerful things you can do to operate a successful Airbnb. If you want more videos just like this, I'll give them to you every single week. Peace and love.